Now, it seems like every time someone talks to me about buying a compact crossover, they're always forgetting about this guy, and I don't quite know why. Let's drive the 2013 Kia Sportage, the SX with the turbo motor, and check the tech. Now, this was one of the first Kias that started to change people's minds about Kia, partly because it's one of the first cars they made that didn't look hideous. It's one of the early Peter Schreier designs when he came over from Audi. On the other hand, though, this generation of the vehicle is starting to age. It first came out as a 2010 model year, so by this point in history, it's getting fairly close to being completely redone. Bear that in mind. And we've seen this head unit before. What I like about it in particular is the fact that it's got really fast response. This is a really key thing in any touchscreen interface, especially since there's no controller. You do have voice command, but the touch is really the rock star here. Look how fast things go as I run through these buttons and try and set things up. It doesn't take any delay whatsoever, and you're up and running. We have a UVO head unit here, which in this case means UVO voice command. It is powered by Microsoft. This is not the same as the new UVO e-services head unit that you're going to see starting with the 2014 Soul that has the Pandora and eventually other apps supported. No apps here. Also, no HD radio here, but you got AM, FM satellite radio with a really good display, big buttons, and again, great payoff on that fast response on the touchscreen. A little bit crunchy in terms of putting in your mobiles. We still have this old school, for Kia and Hyundai, aux USB combo. You need a pigtail cable that goes into both of those at once to hook up your iPod. Neither one of those will get the iPod up and running, though the aux will work by itself. A thumb drive, however, will go in there and recognize by itself. A little weird. And you can see it does a decent job of giving us meta tag information off our thumb drive. Great ergonomics, by the way, in the reach of everything here. Not every car nails this, but you've got a nice reach to the head unit, another easy, nice reach to the climate controls with a similar inclination, same angle, so your hand kind of works the same way. This is a small thing, but it makes the car very livable. And over here on this left side, you see the Active Eco button, puts the car in a more relaxed fuel sipping mode. You've also got a hill descent creep mode in this vehicle, even though we have a two-wheel drive model. This is interesting. Over here on this fully trimmed Sportage, we have a heating and cooling button for the driver's side. That's optional, but not available on the passenger side. So basically, you're saying to the person riding shotgun, screw you. But to add insult to injury, you do have an air-conditioned glove box, but not their seat. That's how low on the pecking order they are. The owner's manual gets better treatment. Now, under the hood on this 13 Sportage, on the SX trim, we've got kind of the greatest hits of modern engine manufacturing. It's all right here on the lid. Turbo GDI, turbocharging, intercooled. You can see some of the plumbing up here. Gasoline direct injection. 2-liter engine, but out of those technologies, we get 260 horse, 269 foot-pounds of torque. Gets this 3,300-pound vehicle, which is relatively chunky, up to 60 in 5.8 seconds while delivering 2128 mpg. Not bad, given its profile and weight. If you go all-wheel drive, though, which is an option on this guy, a lot of numbers change. The mpg drops down to 2025, getting in the red zone there. 0 to 60 goes up 4 or 5 tenths, and of course the weight goes up about 140 pounds. Regardless of how many wheels are getting power to the ground, they're all getting it from the same place. A 6-speed automatic, your only choice with this power plant, and it's got a shiftable gate on one side, but beyond that, it's relatively garden variety stuff. Okay, first thing I notice when I drive this vehicle is that it feels about as heavy as it is. I mean, it's not a lightweight, it's not a huge porky thing, but it's planted, and it's got a little more quality feel than you might expect the price range because of the weight. Of course, the downside on that, as we discussed, is the MPG is not exactly exhilarating. The next thing I notice is the engine note is a little intrusive along with some road noises. Because we have 18s and lower profile tires, that doesn't help on the road noise. And the engine note is just kind of grindy. It's not a great engine to listen to. So those are like your immediate sort of tactile responses. Now, once you get going, there are two personalities on this car. If you leave it in drive normally, you've got a certain amount of turbo lag times downshift lag that a lot of cars have these days, but it's not bad. If you're in the active eco mode down here, it gets really bad. By the time you finally get a kickdown out of this car when you want some power, and then the turbo spools up, it's another century. So I'm really not big on the active eco mode unless you're on a long highway trip and want to just drop this guy in that mode and sip fuel. But around town, that button's a disaster. So I'm taking that off. Which leaves me now with the gate side of the transmission. This is not a sport mode, it is a manual shifting mode. So there is no sport mode on this vehicle, which I think it could use, because somewhere between shifting it myself and leaving it in drive is where I'm sure the sweet spot is. But I wasn't able to accomplish that without moving the shifter around, and I'm not a huge fan of shifting automatics a lot of the time. Last note you guys ask about a lot, the cabin dynamics. You know my height, I'm 6'2" and change. Headroom's pretty good. I'm kind of right up against the side here, but I've got plenty of cutaway where the sunroof goes up. In terms of visibility, in the back, it's a little bit rough. Those are huge C-pillars in the back there and a very sort of tapered down backlight or rear window, so you don't see a lot out of the back of this guy. Luckily, that rear view camera is standard. Similarly, that A-pillar is a big, chunky one of the biggest I've seen, and it can block out a lot in your peripheral vision. You got to be aware of that. Okay, if you're looking to get one of these guys, here's how the pricing breaks out CNET style. $27,700 base for front-wheel drive in the SX, which is the cool powertrain. On top of that, it would cost you $1,500 to go with their electronically controlled all-wheel drive, and that's more of a handling and weather all-wheel drive than an off-road all-wheel drive. Bear that in mind. Another $1,200, quite affordable, will get you that navigation system, although you'll already have the LCD head unit either way, and the rear view cameras included. The last thing to look at is the premium package, $2,000 more. That'll get you the heated, cooled, or just heated front seats, and some home-link stuff for the garage door and a few other niceties. All in about $32,400 CNET style, and you shouldn't forget about it.